Amitabha Buddha. There's the giving of wealth or material aid, and giving of Dharma teachings. Among all the types of giving, the best would be the giving of Dharma teachings. Giving of wealth can only solve some of the material difficulties of sentient beings and problems of hunger and poverty. But if you give Dharma teachings, it directly guides his Dharma body and wisdom life to liberation. The merits of it greatly surpass the giving of wealth. If we use good worldly dharmas, or the general paths Buddha Dharma self-power practices to persuade people to practice, this can be called giving of Dharma teachings. If we use the Pure Land Dharma door to persuade people, he would be able to attain the most ultimate benefit, which is to attain liberation within this lifetime and swiftly attain Buddhahood. Hence, if we use the Pure Land Dharma door to encourage sentient beings to practice, this should be the greatest within the giving of Dharma teachings. Hence, the merits attained would also be the greatest. This allows sentient beings to horizontally transcend the three realms and samsara within this life, which is unparalleled among the giving of other Dharma teachings. For example, even if you spread the culture of Confucianism widely, it can only maintain his moral character based on proper human relationships and ethics, allowing him not to lose human rebirth in the next life. Even in the highest state, it would be no more than rebirth in the heavens. But he would still be stuck in samsara. Even if you use other practices to practice giving, it still can solve the problems of samsara rebirth. Even within the Buddhist teachings, if you use the general path Dharma to practice giving of Dharma teachings, it's also very hard for him to sever the delusions. In other words, it is also very hard to transcend samsara within this life. Hence, among all the types of Dharma teachings being given, the Pure Method relies on Amitabha Buddha's vows, power to carry along a karma and attain horizontal transcendence. It is the highest form of Dharma giving among all other Dharma gifts. Therefore, the karmic reward and benefits that he attained through this generosity would be unlimited. Great loving kindness Bodhisattva had verses on persuading people to practice in advance to the Western Pure Land. It says if you're able to persuade two people to practice the Pure Land Dharma door, it would be considered being more diligent than cultivating your own spiritual practice. When the merits of this kind of diligence and effort is compared, it is equivalent to your own diligence in spiritual cultivation. If you're able to persuade tens of people to practice the Pure Land Dharma door, your karmic rewards would already be infinite, with no way to express it. If you persuade a few hundreds or thousands of people to practice the Pure Land Dharma door, what you have done, only a true Bodhisattva could have done such merits and benefits. If you're able to persuade tens of thousands of people to practice the Pure Land Dharma door, what you've done would truly be the Buddha work of Amitabha Buddha. Therefore, from great loving kindness Bodhisattva's praises, he wants us to be propagators and persuaders of which the merits are infinite and boundless. From here we know that the task of making sentient beings accept the Pure Land Dharma door requires the aspiration of the great Bodhi mind. We must guard, toil, and endure suffering. During the process of encouraging others, you truly have to bear hardship without complaint. This is not lip service. If you say that you want to do this, it truly requires hard work and endure hardships. A few years ago when I was at Lizhi Bhagwat Temple in Sichuan propagating the Dharma, that was in 2004, there was a group of retired secondary school teachers who were all householders. What type of job did they do? They went to a big village, carrying a small television and CDs of Pure Land teachings and lectures, going from house to house to play it. This job that they did, they really went through difficulties doing it. Because the villagers may not know what's the motive at the beginning. Why did you come to my house? Are there any other motives? Hence, in order to let everyone believe that they are here to give out good stuff, in order to let them believe, they went to do acts of charity first. They helped this village by giving aid to those in poverty, helping them to solve their problems and getting necessary materials. After forming friendships with the villagers, they would play the CDs of Pure Land teachings. They talked about the merits of the Pure Land Dharma door. Very quickly, these villagers were willingly to watch, as everyone had the Buddha nature. Therefore, these villagers immediately believed in the Pure Land Dharma door. After believing in it, these householders immediately established a Buddha recitation hall, taking turns holding a 7-day Buddha recitation retreat monthly. Once the monthly retreat in the village is done, they go to the next village to hold another 7-day Buddha recitation retreat. Within a short 2 to 3 years, they are able to expand and develop 50,000 Amitabha reciters. This was in the year 2004. When I heard this, I was moved and inspired by their spirit and drive, and highly praised them. Because they had an informal discussion and wished for me to give some good teaching lectures, I felt very ashamed of myself. I didn't even manage to do it like them at Donglan Temple. Hence, in 2005, I established the Donglan Lotus Society at Donglan Temple, which is geared towards propagation of the Dharma. Within these few years, Donglan Lotus Society has been invited domestically and internationally by monasteries and layman groups. We've sent out many small groups to the grassroots to guide and lead sentient beings in practice, and to give Dharma lectures. This work at the moment is being carried out in a more extensive and in-depth way. Hence, when it comes to doing this, it truly requires taking action. And this action is indeed an arduous task to do. Most of the material life in villages are impoverished. If you go deep in the grassroots to propagate the Dharma, in this aspect you need to work hard and bear hardships. But doing these things is extremely, extremely important. There's a need to let people know the benefits of Amitabha recitation. And the benefits of the Western land of utmost bliss. Let him arouse the aspiration of seeking rebirth in the Pure Land. Actually, let us see. You recite the Buddha's name and seek rebirth in the Western land of utmost bliss just based on this sentence. And if this sentence is implemented in his faith and vow, it is an extremely hard thing. Because infinite kalpas ago, we've been pulled by the karmic force of our ignorance, feeling that life is all about fame and fortune, getting married and raising kids, for promotion and gaining of wealth, and on how to increase the pleasure of the 5 desires and 6 dusts. Wanting to set them out on rebirth in the Western land of utmost bliss in such a short while is an extremely hard thing to do. This is an extremely transcendental Dharma door. It is equivalent to the lotus flowers out of the muddy and turbid water growing out of the mud unsullied. Isn't this difficult? Hence, propagators and persuaders need to awaken and rouse such a lotus quality. This lotus nature is like being grown in empty space, but as there is no opportunity to hear this Dharma door, hence since infinite kalpas ago it rots together with the muddy turbid water. The muddy and turbid water represents our afflictions, muddy. And as persuaders and good-knowing advisors, let us help the right awakening of all sentient beings. Lotus flower grow, growing in the empty space. Let them emit out the sweet fragrance of their Buddha nature. Don't you think this is a very sacred cause to undertake? Very worthy for us to do it. Therefrom, we can also accumulate infinite and boundless karmic rewards. Namo Amitabha Buddha.